Hello everyone and welcome to another Endgame episode with Coach B and MasterChess.com. This is the third and the last part video that covers Rook and Pawn on the 4th rank versus Rook. In this video, we're going to take a look at the positions where the defending king is cut off by 2 or more files. And the rule is this: a pawn on the 4th rank wins if the defending king is cut off by 2 files, except if it's a knight pawn, it will take 3 files, and if it's a rook pawn, it's going to take 4 files. Another way to look at it, with the pawn on the 4th rank, the player with the advantage is always able to win if the defending king is cut off to the last 3 files on the opposite side of the pawn. So let's take a look at these positions and see why. So in this first position, it's black to move, and we could see that white has a bishop pawn on the 4th rank, and also the defending king is cut off by 2 files. Therefore, white should be able to win this game. So here, black doesn't have many options. Since the black king is cut off, the only thing that he can try is rook to f8. And now, the white king simply needs to march forward. So king to g4, after rook to g8 check, king to f5, rook to f8 check, king to g5, rook to g8 check, king to h6. And here, the long distance check defense doesn't work. After rook to f8 attacking the pawn, the white king is not forced to come and defend the pawn because he could defend that pawn with rook to f2. And now, after something like king to d7, king to g7 attacks the rook, rook to f5, king to g6, rook to f8. This gives white the tempo to move the pawn to the 5th rank, so he's going to push the pawn to f5. And now, there's only 2 possible plays by black, either to check the king with the rook or moving the king to e7. If he attacks the king with rook to g8 check, well, after king to f7, the rook is chased away. Let's say rook to a8. After pawn to f6, the pawn reached the 6th rank with the winning endgame. And I'm just going to fast forward through the moves so you can see how white will promote the pawn. Here, even if the king comes next to the pawn, that pawn is defended by the king and the rook, so he can simply march it forward, promoting to a queen. Black will have to take the queen, and after white captures back, he's going to win this game. And coming back to this position, we looked at rook to g8 check. If black instead tries king to e7, well, this is not going to work either, because after rook to e2 check, the black king is not able to go in front of the pawn. So after something like king to d6, the pawn will march to f6. After rook to g8 check and king to f7, the black rook is chased away. Let's try moving the rook on the h file this time, so rook to h8. After king to g7, the rook has to move away. Pawn to f7. Rook to a7, trying to pin the pawn. Well, after king to g8, rook to a8 check, the pawn will promote, black will have to sacrifice the rook, and white will win the game. And coming back to this position, I want to mention that after rook to g8 check and king to f7, if instead of keeping the rook on the 8th rank, black will retreat the rook to g1, well, now after king to f8 and rook to f1, the pawn will march to f7, and we've reached the well-known Lucena position with the winning endgame. So in this next position, we could see that we have a knight pawn on the 4th rank. In order for white to win, he will need the defending king to be cut off by 3 files. Well, in this position, the black king is cut off only by 2 files, therefore he should be able to draw this position. And here, white doesn't have many options. If he starts marching with the king, let's say king to h4, black is simply going to attack the king with rook to h8. After king to g5, rook to g8 check. King to h5, rook to h8 check. And here's the problem: the white king is not able to move away from the pawn because he's going to be outside of the board. So all he's got is king to g6. And after rook to g8 check, the white king is forced to come and defend the pawn. He cannot move to f7 to attack the rook, as black is simply going to capture the pawn. And after king to f5, the checks will continue. Rook to f8 check. Again, the white king is not able to move away from the pawn to allow the white rook to defend it, and he's not going to be able to make any progress. After king to g6, the checks will continue, and white will be forced back, not able to make any progress. So coming back from the beginning, we saw that getting the king out doesn't help. If white tries something different, let's say rook to e2, and here is a crucial moment. The only defending move here for black is king to d6. Any other move will lose in this position. After king to d6, we saw that getting the king out will not be able to make any progress. Therefore, the only other try that white has is rook to e4. Well, now the king will come to d5, attack the rook. If the rook retreats on the 4th rank, still defending the pawn, well, that would allow the black king to get closer to the pawn and also be able to draw. Coming back, if the rook retreats to e1 to still keep the king cut off by 2 files, the king will simply move to d6, repeating the position, and white cannot make any progress. And in this last position, we could see that white has a rook pawn on the 4th rank, and he managed to cut off the black king by 4 files. Therefore, he should be able to win this game. The correct play is moving the king to g4. After this, black will respond rook to g8, king to f5, rook to h8, attacking the pawn, king to g5 protects the pawn, rook to g8, and then king to f6. After rook to h8, here's the crucial moment. All white needs to do is move the rook behind the pawn. And there's nothing that black can do here. After something like king to d6, the pawn will march to h5. Rook to f8 check, king to g7. And now there's only 2 responses that black has, either moving the rook to a8, keeping an eye on the promotion square, or retreating the rook to f2. So let's take a look at both of those scenarios. If he retreats the rook to a8, well, after this, the pawn will march to h6, rook to a7 check, king to g6, rook to a8, pawn to h7. After rook to h8 and king to g7, the rook is forced out, the pawn will promote, and white will win the game. And coming back, after rook to f8 and king to g7, we looked at rook to a8. If black responds with rook to f2, retreating back, well, here white will still push the pawn to h6. After rook to g2 check, the king will go to f6. Rook to f2 check, king to g6, rook to g2, and now king to h5, where black is not able to check the white king anymore. And after rook to g8, pawn to h7, the rook is forced on h8 not to let the pawn promote, but white will come and chase the rook away, and after that promote the pawn, and then win the rook and win the game. Alright, thank you so much for watching this video. I encourage you to check out my new website, masterchess.com, where you'll be able to learn these positions and practice them against the computer. If you liked my video, please subscribe and don't forget to check out my new website, masteryourchess.com, where you can learn, practice, test, and master your chess knowledge.